Scandals come in all forms, from financial misdemeanours, political intrigue, to poorly chosen company and torrid affairs. But a scandal in the late 18th century was caused by a lady and what she chose to wear in public. The eldest son of Walter Campbell of Shawfield and Islay, an advocate and later rector of the University of Glasgow, and his first wife, Eleanor Kerr, Colonel John Campbell, was an attractive man. He was around 6 feet tall, cutting a fine figure, and carried himself well, thanks to his military career. At the time of his marriage, he was a captain in the army, but was well known in London and had the nickname of Handsome Jack of the Guards. On 14th June 1796, when he was around 26 years old, he married the celebrated beauty, Lady Charlotte Susan Maria Campbell, the daughter of John Campbell, 5th Duke of Argyll, and his wife Elizabeth Gunning. However, shortly after her marriage, she caused quite a furore in Glasgow. Aged 21, she was in the full bloom of her youth and beauty, and it was rumoured she had the handsomest legs of any lady at the royal court, and she wasn't sparing of showing them off, both there and elsewhere, to her advantage. It was even reported her attire came to the attention of Queen Charlotte, who asked one of her ladies-in-waiting to speak to Lady Charlotte about taking a tuck out of her petticoat when she appeared in court. One day at the foot of the Candle Rigs in Glasgow, a crowd of people surrounded two ladies and a young gentleman of around 17, who were walking eastwards towards the cross along the Trongate. There was Lady Charlotte, dressed in the height of Parisian fashion, with petticoats almost as short as a Highlandman's philibeg kilt, with the dress exhibiting her pretty little ankles and the contour of her calves. As soon as she was recognised, word got round the crowd. "It's Lady Charlotte Campbell! It's Lady Charlotte Campbell!" That was all the locals needed to hear. People from the Trongate, King Street, the Candle Rigs, and the Gallowgate all turned their attention to the lady. The crowd became so dense, Lady Charlotte and her party could no longer move along the Trongate, as every single person was pushing forwards to get a glimpse of her. She soon became alarmed by the mob, thinking she may be attacked, which was constantly increasing in number. The group, having in vain attempted to make headway, were now fearful, so in a state of terror and alarm, made for a shop opposite the Tron Kirk, and begged the shopkeeper to close his door until the crowd had dispersed. He did as she asked, and also closed his shutters on his windows to give her some more privacy. The crowd, however, showed no signs of leaving, and in fact increased in size, as word had got round that Lady Charlotte Campbell, nearly half naked, had found refuge in the shop, so everyone stayed put, hoping to get a glimpse of her as she left it. The shopkeeper now became alarmed for his own safety and for the safety of his goods, so jumped out a window at the back of the shop and ran full speed to the guardhouse, then situated in the Candle Rigs. A sergeant and a party of soldiers made their way to the shop door, which was still locked shut. Meanwhile, Lady Charlotte was at her wits' end. She had to get out to escape the mob attacking her. She resolved to follow in the footsteps of the shopkeeper and jumped out the window at the back of the shop, running into an adjoining house. When she explained her situation, a carriage was sent for, which safely took her to the Black Bull Inn. Once safely away, The shopkeeper told the soldiers who were guarding the front door, then under their protection, what had happened. He threw open the door to allow the remaining lady and young gentleman, who were also holed up in the shop, to leave. The crowd were sadly disappointed that it wasn't the nearly half-naked Lady Charlotte making her way out. The crowd were polite towards them and let them pass without incident, then melted away, leaving a clear passage on the pavement for the pair as they walked westward. The military wasn't required to protect them, as the crowd caused no trouble. They had simply been curious to behold Lady Charlotte Campbell, who had worn a dress only fit for an opera girl. Lady Charlotte went on to have 9 children during her marriage to Campbell, including Walter Frederick Campbell of Shawfield, who became a politician and represented Argyllshire in the 19th century. Her husband, who'd become a Member of Parliament for the Ayr boroughs, died in 1809, and she remarried in the mid-1810s, going on to have another 2 children. Her second husband, the Reverend Edward John Bury, died in May 1832. Following Campbell's death, Lady Charlotte became lady-in-waiting to Caroline of Brunswick, the then Princess of Wales, and following her marriage to Bury, when she had to give up the post, she became a diarist and novelist. On 31st March 1861, at the age of 86, Lady Charlotte died at Chelsea, outliving all but 2 of her children. She would never be forgotten in Glasgow, thanks to her risque dress, beautiful ankles, and her half-nakedness. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.